Story 1. Update AITA for telling my coworker that I didn't enjoy my pregnancy. Since posting, I have kept my distance from Linda as recommended by commenters, which has been tough because our work often overlaps and I know we're in the same team. Since then, I noticed she has snapped at other coworkers as well. I figured that commenters were right that now her probation was over, the nice girl act was over. Things were awkward. Then I heard her crying in the bathroom. I didn't want to get involved in case it caused another fight, but I also couldn't just leave her there when there might be a problem. So I told Tina, our team lead, who then went to check on Linda. A while later, Tina came back and said she had sent Linda home as she wasn't feeling well. A few days later, Linda came back to work. She asked to speak to me, alone. It probably wasn't the best idea, but I agreed to. And I'm glad I did. Linda apologized for how she snapped at me. I asked why she excluded me from ladies' night. She said she didn't invite me to the ladies' night because I had told her I didn't like them. To be fair, I have a vague memory of this coming up in conversation a while ago. But she had something else to tell me. It turns out some of you were right. Linda is pregnant. When she got sent home, her boyfriend asked her to take a pregnancy test because the last time she was pregnant, she got super broody and her mood was all over the place, being happy one minute, bursting into tears the next, then being super irritable. As bad as she was being at work, she was even worse at home. She took a test and, yep, she's pregnant. She told me she wanted me to be the first person in the office to know about it. I guess it was her way of apologizing. I accepted her apology and chose to believe her about the ladies' night, albeit cautiously. I'm still keeping a slight guard up because who knows, for all I know this is a sum game she's playing, but for now, I am choosing to take her at her word. Obviously, her being pregnant doesn't excuse how she spoke to me, but it does explain it. And if that genuinely is the issue, then hopefully that means the issue is solved. Very much Dutch 102 says, PFFF, no blame to you. But this girl and her partner are going to see a rough 9-month-old. And the 9 months following by that also aren't easy. But I wouldn't miss my daughter for all the money in the world. I hope Linda can figure it out, like Serna says. It was super kind of you to make sure Linda was cared for in her time of need. We cannot control other people or how they act. But we don't have to give them the power to make us into AHs as well. Throwback Blue says, sounds like an excuse. I wouldn't believe anything she said. Being pregant is not an excuse to treat people like that. Story 2. AITA for not telling my ex-wife that we lived in a rental apartment. Back in 2008, when I started university, I rented a 2-bedroom apartment with my ex-girlfriend at the time and my friend, his girlfriend. We got a great deal for it, as the owner of the place lost his job because of everything that happened back then and decided to try her luck abroad where she still lives. Years went by, and after university, my friend and his GF decided to find a place of their own. As we had full-time jobs, renting this apartment together did not seem expensive anymore, and also did not seem expensive to rent alone after we broke up some time later. So there I was, alone in a 2-bedroom apartment in the central part of the city. The owner decided that she was too lazy to mess with bills and stuff every month and made arrangements for me to pay everything directly. As I earned her trust, I still pay her monthly rent, which is very cheap for today, and deal with everything else having her authorization. Because of the perfect location, my second bedroom was basically free B&B for my friend who did not live in the city, and I did not mind. It is good to have company if you live alone. In 2020, I met a girl who was in a rush to get married, and as I was madly in love, we did in 2021. For some reason, I never told her the story of how I rented the place or that was a rental at all. It just never came up. I have been so used to the fact that I am an authorized representative with building cooperative things, etc., that I refer to it as my place. Our relationship started to cool down, and we found out that we were not perfect for each other after all, so divorce it is. So we did the paperwork for divorce, and she is moving out. A few days ago, I received an email from her with a real estate valuation document as an attachment. While I was not at home, she wasted $500 for someone to evaluate an apartment that does not belong to us and wrote that I probably have to take a loan to pay her the $50 of that. I replied to her, didn't I ever tell her that this place is a rental? Why does she even assume that I can afford a 2-bedroom apartment in the city center? She knows where I work and how much I earn. She called and screamed at me that I had lied to her for years and hid the fact that the apartment was rental. Then she tells me that, well, she will take the car as we got that together. And I was quiet for a moment and then told her, you do know that is a lease, right? The owner of the car is the bank. Then she demanded that I pay for the valuation, and I replied, I did not ask you to do it. She called me an asshole and ended the call. Of course, she told her whole friends group how I lied to her during the whole marriage, and there was a discussion in a messenger group with friends that if is it a lie or not, whether was it an asshole thing to do. Some agree with me and some with her. My best friend told me that this is a perfect topic for a Reddit thread. Now I ask you Reddit, AITA? Corgintress says, it's odd you didn't tell her, but also odd that it wasn't part of your conversation about life and who was paying for things and how and so on. NTA A9J9B says, I'm sorry, this is technically not funny, but I laughed so much when she tried to get half of the apartment, failed, then tried to get the car, and you just dropped, that's a rental, XD, she tried so hard. NTA. It's weird that it didn't come up at some point, but you are not an off for not specifically telling her another underscore idiot says, NTA. I wonder why she was in such a rush to get married. Was her plan all along to get married and then take you for half of everything after a couple of years? Thanks for watching. I love you. Follow Reddit Echoes for more.